Hello and welcome back to Note by Note. This session, just first of all, is recorded. Okay, so this week I couldn't go live because right at the moment that I am publishing this video, that is at 7 GNT, as usual on Tuesday. So uh, I couldn't because I'm on set working right now. So this recording don't have the usual chat where you can chat directly with me, but I didn't want to miss this week. So I'm just going to record this session. Last it was like live because I'm going to be doing basically the same thing, but nonetheless, thank you very much for watching this video. We are going to have everything that we have on the live streaming. So, of course, I'm going to thank Foundry for sponsoring this session. And also in this session, we are going to have a giveaway. Before going with the new giveaway that is going to be active from 7 p.m. GMT until 8:30 p.m. GMT, like the usual time of this streaming. So I'm going to announce, of course, the winner of last week, which is Gaston. Gaston Batle. I don't know if I pronounce that correctly, but in any case, Gaston, the license of Nuke Indie for 1 year is yours. And Foundry will contact you with the details for getting the license. For this week, of course, we are going to have another giveaway. We are getting close to the end of the giveaways of Nuke Indie. We are going to have 10 licenses. So this week, that is the 9th episode of this series, is going to be the almost the last one. So next week with the last one. So if you want to enter the giveaway, you have in here the address, and I'm going to leave also the address in the description of the video, so you can click in there. Okay, so if you have a QR code, you can go directly with that. Okay, so what can I say is, it's a privilege being here talking to you and having fun, just sharing my love for compositing. Remember the rules of the streaming is like me comping, and I'm just going to go as I think it should go, like any regular job. So there is nothing that is pre-baked. I have no idea of what I'm going to do next, and I'm not preparing anything from 1 week to another. So I'm just going real time, just analyzing what is in there, and I'm going to use Nuke Indie. Okay, so again, I don't feel much difference for any day by day task that I'm doing as a freelance compositor, I will say. So Nuke Indie is just perfect for the job. But if you feel like there are any limitations that are really bothering you, I would really appreciate if you leave them in the comments in here, so we can understand why, and open even a discussion to understand what are the real limitations that are preventing us to enjoy the compositing. Okay, so if you want to support this series, note by note, my channel and my streamings, there are many ways you can do, but I will say the most important one would be just to subscribe. So just by subscribing or by visiting my links and subscribing to my channels, that is going to be something nice, I will say. But if you want a more personal support, that I will appreciate it as well. You can use buy me a coffee. So just buy me a coffee. It's just that. So it's just you are not obligated at all. I'm doing this because I enjoy, but why not? If you want to support me, I really appreciate it. And so thank you very much for all the people that has been already supporting me for this. So yeah, I'm going to put also the link on the description of this video. So if you want to buy me a coffee, because you appreciate what I'm doing, and you feel like it's valuable for the community, well, you are going to find the link in there, and together with that link, you are going to find my link tree with all my links. So if you want to know more about my profile and what I'm doing, you have in there everything that you need. So I think now it's time to start doing what we are here for. Okay, so I'm going to open Nuke Indie as usual, and let's have a look at the shot that I am comping. So okay, this is Nuke Indie, so I don't need this to be shown again. So let's go to the workspace, compositing. Here you are. This is a template that I have for a current project. So let's go to, here you are, 8. This was the script as we left it last week. Okay, quite nice. So I'm going to save a new version just for this week. So 9. And let's start by doing things to these brushes. We have a bit of mist in there. We have also the lens dirt that I really like it. Last week we were creating the sun. And I think this week we should start just closing down the shot. Things that I can do to this shot is mainly adding elements, okay? But I don't want to oversaturate this, okay? So let's leave the elements for a second, because now let's work on other aspects that we need to keep in consideration when doing something, for instance, like a full CG shot. So we haven't talked much, well, at all, about lenses. So I'm just going back in here. This is a poster that I created, and you can find in my links. By the way, it's free. You can use it and print it, quite big. So something that I like when I'm analyzing a shot is, like, I like to work from the source of the light and going through the all the events that are in here. So now I think we have been paying a lot of attention to the events that are happening outside the camera and outside the lenses. And I think now maybe it is time to start paying attention to this area, the event number 5 and the event number 6, which is the lenses and the support. So of course in here I'm just using a shot that is like it's full CG, so there are no integration elements. But there are things that we need to keep in consideration when we are compositing a full CG, which is we want to mimic how real lenses work. So to do that, well, let's analyze what are the parameters that we need to learn. So I will say the first thing that everybody can notice in a full CG shot is, like, lenses are flat, because a render has no lens distortion. The lens distortion is something that happens to the lenses. Of course, I'm not here just to show you how the lens distortion work and all of that. I just want to be more pragmatic in here. You have courses that I have published about that. For instance, FX PhD, for instance, that I say hello to those guys that I love. And yeah, you can find in there a lot of information about how to analyze the lenses. But in here, what I want is just to get like a flavor of those lenses. Something that could be nice is that if you have, for instance, a particular set of lenses, and you can transfer that if you are working, for instance, this shot on a show, you can just go for another shot that is sharing the same lenses, because of course this is a CG shot, but hopefully it has been done with the same criteria of cinematography than the rest of the movie, because if not, it's not going to feel integrated, not in the frame itself, but it's not going to feel integrated in the sequence. So you need to capture that what was the lens. Okay, in here, because this is a standalone shot and I don't have any idea of how this thing should be, I mean, in the fin or the piece or whatever, I'm just going to do something that is going to be generic. Okay, I'm just going to grab and use a bit of the distortion as I like. Okay, without caring much about the any particular set of lenses. So I'm going to go with the lens distortion. Let me put in here lens distortion. By the way, if you want to know more about this kind of lenses and artifacts and events, you have my Master of Light. Okay, in here you are going to learn all the everything you need to know about understanding and synthesizing light, including the study of this document that I show you, this poster. Okay, so you have mostly everything that you need to understand light from those points of view. Is something like the basic kit for a full CG thing. It's like 15 hours of training, specializing in CG integration and full CG shots, but it's like the concepts of cinematography applied to compositing. I don't if you don't know. I started as a cinematographer and a photographer even before that. So my background is mostly in photography. So understanding how light works is 50% of the work of a compositor. Okay. So the Master of Light, you can find in there in the description. Again, you are going to find the link that is in on the screen right now. And if you want something more particular, more personal, I can offer you a one-on-one. So you can just have me in a private session, just you and me. You can share whatever you want with me, and I can help you improve in those areas that you feel from scratch or to perfect your skills. So whatever you want at any level available, I'm here for you. You can book the one session. There is no commitment of more than that. You can just book the sessions as you need, and I can be your coach for even following the progress of a complex shots if you need, or anything that you can share. I can even share an NDA with you, so everything is going to remain private between us. So everything is to help you and to support you. So it's just tailor made for you. So that is the one-on-one, okay? And you have the link in there. Now let's continue with the question of the lens distortion. So the lens distortion shouldn't be done like this, okay? I shouldn't go like arbitrarily selecting what are the parameters of the lens distortion. But something that I can tell you is like there are two denominators in here, depending on the radiality of the distortion. So on the areas that is going to be distort, you shouldn't do this by eye. Something that I would recommend is just grab the lens grid from somewhere. So what I'm going to do is exactly that. I'm just going to bring from my training footage, something that many people will be familiar for sure, those that have studied with me. That I guess there are a lot out there, and I'm very proud of all of you. So in here, yeah, let me put this. It's just getting compositing log, but it's not compositing log. I don't care about the color because this is the only part that I'm interested in right now, is the lens distortion. Okay, so this is just the lens grid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my lens distortion, and I'm just going to calculate the lens distortion of that grid. So let me just do it from here. Okay, and it's flawless. There are no wrong lines, but it's just the, yeah. So I'm just going to solve this. Here you are. This is the lens distortion for this particular shot. So yeah, I don't care much about if it's the right lenses or so, because what I want is just to feel like I'm not, I'm doing the job of the lens distortion. And right now, this is, by the way, applying the undistortion, okay? And this is also applying the distortion not in the right place. So this is something that I would like to talk about. So let's go in here. Let's apply the redistort, okay? So can you see that? Yeah, we have now the areas that are lost. So that is what I mean. It's like usually in the workflow that we use for lens distortion, we remove the lens distortion and then we apply the lens distortion, or somehow we have overscan. Well, in a real case scenario in production, I will expect this shot that is full CG to have overscan. So to have the B box, the boundary box, to have bigger, so I can just apply the lens distortion without any loss of quality. Because in here we don't have it. We are going to do it manually. So we are just going to zoom in. Yeah. So I'm going to give you my considerations of doing this aberration of operation, which is just losing the quality. But give me a sec. So we are losing that. I'm just going to do it after. We can do it before, and it's going to concatenate downwards, but I'm going to do it that way. So it's going to correct that area. Okay, something like that. I just want to make sure we are not missing any pixel. Oh yeah, we are missing pixels on the side. Well, time to go higher. So let me see if I can recover as much as possible. One more pixel, just in order to get, here you are. This is the center of the lenses. See, that is not exactly in the center, so one side gets more than the other. Well, you can even decentrate, so you can move it 1 pixel if you feel so. But, I mean, don't get that much, is we're talking about 2 pixels or so. So, yeah. So, this, and that is going to be, yeah, that's it. So with this, we are covering the whole frame. Let's have a look at the difference. So how much portion of the frame we are losing? It's not much. Of course, it's enough, but it's not much, okay? So there are edges. After this, I'm going to remove that. The only thing is, if you don't have any lens grid, you can just do it on your own. But look at the numbers. They are very, very little. Even the center should be like practically the center. But be very careful. Very, very careful. Don't go crazy with the amount of the lens distortion, because, you know, lens manufacturers are just trying their best not to distort the image. So lenses are meant not to distort the image. Of course, the image is going to be distorted naturally, because it is impossible not to get the image distorted. It's just merely physics. But they try not to distort much. So try not to distort much, and keep in mind that the wider the angle, the more distortion you are going to have, because that is the purpose of the angle. You are getting a portion of the sphere. Remember? Well, you don't remember because we haven't discussed this, but in my courses, you will see that what is the intent of that lenses. So you are getting a higher portion of the sphere, let's say. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it. And now let's talk about filtering. Filtering, you know, the anti-alias, something that is horrible. And we are losing quality. Yeah, we are losing quality. But let's be clear. We are applying even a soften, because the full CG is going to be so crisp that sometimes it's even disturbing that is so crisp. So yeah, there are even artifacts that are going to happen. See? But the thing is, like, are we losing that much? So let's have a look. This is the original super crisp. This is the final without any softening. So now I'm going to put the soften at the end because I want to control the final subtle softening. So it is actually a bit soft, but in a real case scenario, it's going to be soft anyway. So don't get too stressed about this particular operation that I'm doing with adding the transform. And it doesn't mean that just by having 1.051 is not enough to create alias, because just any tiny variation of the scale is just going to create alias like crazy. So yeah, there is a softening that is happening in there, but I don't care much because I'm going to add even an extra softening because cameras are not perfect showcasing images. There are so many imperfections, and as I always say, compositing is destroying the image with style. So yeah, in here you just need to take care of the amount. And if you feel like I should add more, well, there are also filters in here that can help. So you can go and maybe use slightly sharpeners, like for instance the Riffman is going to help a bit. Oh, hello about that. But let's have a look at this. Riffman against cubic. And I'm looking through the soften because I want to understand what the soften is doing. So this is a softener. So this is even higher softening. So what I may be understanding is if I use the notch, which is the softest of the filters, maybe I don't need to add and to apply a soften at the end. So that is even going to help to create the paste of the image. So should I privilege this instead of the soften? Well, not really, because I prefer to have a bit of control of recovery on the soften, because the soften is just going to allow also this halo just for the contrast of the edges. So you can decide a lot in there. Nonetheless, you are losing quality twice, but that is the intent. So as far as you know that what you are doing is all good. So you are the artist, so it's your intent. You decide what needs to be done. So there is no good, no bad, no wrong or no right. When you forget about the concept of what is right and what is wrong, you are going to start creating things. And then, of course, you can improve the technique by fixing mistakes. But a mistake is when something is not as you intended it to be. So that is the best description of the mistake, okay? So having control is, of course, the most important part to understand what's going on. Now that we have the distortion, I think we need to apply elements of artifacts. Okay, artifacts of the lenses. There are many artifacts that are happening on the lenses, and depends on the lens you are using, you are going to have a character or another characters. And that is something that you have to learn. When you are looking through the glass of a camera, you will understand that certain cameras have a certain way of the focusing, certain way of putting in focus, how the focus is just going to slide from the plane in focus to the outside. So all those things, the more you understand, the more you can reproduce. So for me, I'm just going to be quite vanilla in here. I'm not going to go hardcore with the lenses in here, because in any case, it's not a very photorealistic intent in this, because it's, you know, it's not photorealistic, because I'm missing many passes in here for doing that, for instance, dust or any of that. But I think it's a good exercise in order to get something that is working, okay? In any case, of course, the photorealism is the aim, so I'm always trying. Everything that I'm putting in here is photorealistic, but the result that I'm expecting, since I don't have any production power in here, so I'm missing passes, yeah, is part of the deal. So I'm going to remove these volumetric rays that are coming from the window. Yeah, there, and I think it was, let me just check. Yeah, this one. I'm going to remove that because, yeah, makes no sense. I mean, it was very nice. Maybe, I mean, we can just keep it because why not? But let's do it very, very subtle. Very, very subtle. Something like this. Is there. Very subtle. Okay. Now the volume rays. Okay, they are perfectly balanced. Now let's start with the elements of distortion. There is something that is going to be noticeable always, which is the vignette. But okay, this is like writing a symphony. Okay, so you cannot just make every element as a soloist. So if you're composing a symphony, you just need to pay the right amount of attention to every single element, not to put all the elements at full, because if not, there is no harmony. It's just going to be every element on their own. So I'm going to put in the beginning something enough to see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to modulate everything. Okay, so I'm going to put now the vignette, and I'm going to play with the vignette. I can even create a tool for a vignette, which is, something that I find amusing. I love to create tools for doing procedural things. Every time that I want to do something. For instance, in here I have my own. Maybe let's see. No, I don't have it in here. That is very cool. So let's do it. Let's do it. How I'm going to do the tool is this is like playing Sudoku. It's playing with numbers. So you can create your own tool, and I'm just going to show you how I process data. So I like, instead of just doing something that is going to be worth for once, I'm just going to do something that I can use many times, so recursive. So that is going to justify spending a bit of time on doing things, because then I'm going to save time on the rest of the things. So I'm going to create my tool that I'm going to be in an open structure. So when I'm creating tools, I like to attach them to the main script and then collapse into a group. So the first thing that I need is the format. So this is going to be just the format. So I'm going to use the remove, for instance. Remove. The remove by default is just going to give you the format, just that, because I just remove everything that is in there. Well, good enough. Now I'm going to create, because I want to create a vignette, I want to do a circle. I'm just going to assume the lenses in here are spherical, okay? The vignette in an anamorphic lens is completely different. So let's create a radial. Good. Nice. But if it's spherical, it means that it needs to be, a square. The region of interest of this must be a square. So let's start by doing 0 here and 0 here. And in here, in those two, I'm going to use an expression just to get whatever is the format, because I'm doing something that in theory is going to be universal. I'm going to do something that needs to work for every format. So I'm going to press for getting the expression, and I'm going to put input format, and it's going to be W for the width. Okay, I have that, by the way. I have expressions in Nuke, no difference at all. I know that there is a limitations on the commands on Python, but scripting, well, in here is all good. Now, this is going to be, because I want to be a square, and usually I'm going to work with horizontal images. What is the value that I should put in here? Input, format, and of course, W again, because I want that to be exactly like that. So now, what is the problem? The problem is the center. It's not in the center. So we need to find a formula, an algorithm, you know, an equation, whatever you want, you need to find a way that this is going to be here. So this point is need to be there. So how can we do that? Well, let's play. Today I'm playful. So let me just cancel this. It wasn't this the one that I wanted. I want my desk scribble. I still haven't used this with you guys. So I'm going to use this. This is just a tool for annotating on the screen. So what I want is this to be here. This is the operation that I want. So the operation that I want, this arrow, is a transform. So this is just for showcasing my flow of thoughts when I am creating something. So what I want is just to transform, just to move, to translate from one point to another. So the node is going to be the transform node. Then the coordinates are now suggesting that I need to calculate two things. So when you are moving, you need to know two points. Where are you? So where you are and where you want to go. So this is where I am, and this is where I want to go. So this is going to be related to my radial node. So this is about the radial. And this is going to be about the format. Okay, so I just need to find how tall is this format and go to a half. Then find how tall is this format and go to a half and calculate the difference between those two. So by doing the difference of those two, so this minus that is going to give me, hopefully, the what I want to move this. So I want to move that by the difference between the center of this and the center of that. Okay, let's do it. And I'm going to leave the annotations on the screen so I can play with that. In any case, I'm just going to be doing things in here. How cool is that? So, okay, let's find the container of the operation, which is a transform. Okay, transform. Now, in here, I don't have the boundary box. That is the first thing that I notice as soon as I close this. Look, I don't have boundary box. So something that is going to be a good idea is no clip. Now I have my boundary box, because without that I'm going nowhere. So instead of just doing this manually, that is just boring and not precise at all, and then I'm going to show you how I link that with this. I'm going to calculate that exactly as I said. So we are just calculating a vertical movement. So my expression is going to be here. By the way, I'm talking a lot. I'm just explaining. It feels like a tutorial. Sorry guys, I don't want to feel like a tutorial. I'm just comping, but I thought it is just nice just to express my flow of thoughts. So if you have something to say about this, just put it in the comments. Everything. I will hear everybody about everything. If you are happy, if you are not, if you want me to change, I will evaluate if it's worth it or not. I mean, I don't have to do whatever you ask me. If you want my credit card numbers, I don't think I'm going to give it to you. But maybe you are going to ask me for something that makes sense, and maybe I didn't thought about that. So yeah, please, any suggestions or comments, put it in here in the section below. Yeah, just because I'm here and just interrupted, just don't forget to subscribe, okay? Because that helps me a lot, just because I love to share contents with you. So let's get the expression to calculate that difference. So first of all is input. I want to calculate the format of that. So I can go two ways. I can go bbox. So that is going to calculate the height of the bbox. Okay, nice. But instead, I'm just going to do it very simple using the same command. So I'm going to use the format dot w. So that is going to give me the right width, which is the same as the height, as you know. And I want to go to the midpoint. So time divided by 2. Oh, so that is going up. Nice. Well, I don't care about that because right now what I want is just to calculate a number. So I don't expect that to go to the right place. I shouldn't press enter. So what I want is, this is going to give me the number of the position of that midpoint. Okay, now I want the same for the other. So minus, and this is going to be the format, but with the height, the actual height. So what I'm doing in here is the center of the boundary box minus the center of the other. And because I want this to be going down, I'm going to put it all of that negative. So just to make things clear, I'm just going to put it like that, okay? So, okay, here you are. It's that simple. So I don't mind if the center of transformation is in there. If you want the center of transformations of this radial to be in the right position, I mean, this transform, you can just adjust it there with another expression. But again, I don't care about the expression of that. I just want it to be there. I mean, for the time being, because I'm going to need this to be in the center. But right now, what I meant is like, I just wanted to get that in the right position. And it is in the right position. Okay? So I'm going to delete that annotation that I made in there. I'm not going to need that. And now the thing is, how can I put this back to the center in there? Well, let's calculate. So this was originally in the transform, it was originally there in that peculiar position. Let's give it control to this center. Let's see, where is this center going? See? So what I want is this center to be in the middle of that thing. So I'm going to put another expression, which is, what is the center of that? Well, we know that. So it's like input format W divided by 2. Here you are. Okay? Now, this time, this is going to be important that the center is also going to be universal for every format that you bring. So right now, this needs to be also calculated for the x, because this was just for moving up and down. But this needs to be then, when we want to create other transformations, for instance, increasing the scale, something like that, it needs to be in the center. So I'm going to put another function, which is exactly the same one as there. So input format W2 divided by 2 here. So whatever I connect here, and I'm just going to make the test with a checkerboard, for instance. Checkerboard, here you are. Now, this checkerboard is this format, but I'm going to put any other format, for instance, 2K lat long. Okay, so if I put it there, here you are. And if I change to any other format, for instance, this one, here you are, always in the center. Always in the center. Now, let's see if it works with the anamorphic. It's not. So if you want this to be anamorphic, you need to put another extra command that right now I'm not going to take care because we are not developing tools. Okay, this is just a universal, let's say, for this particular show. So I'm just going to do something that is going to help also my peers working on this show. So okay, this is going to be the area of the vignette. So I'm going to apply color correct. I'm using a color correct because I'm going to need certain elements that I cannot find in the grade. It's a correction that requires even not just going darker, but also color is going to be affected on other things. So I'm just going to do something quite silly. I'm just going to put a super dark. Oh, it's going inside. So why? Because of course the matte is white in here. So you can just invert in here, or if you prefer, and I tend to prefer this, invert in here. Okay? Just that. I prefer, and I tend to do it in the stream because it's for any instance. I just say, oh, well, instead of doing with the color correct, why not to change another node? And then you plug, and then one day is like, boom, everything explodes because you are in a rush. So just preventing to touching buttons in the main node, because this is a secondary structure. This is a matting, this is a mask. So I prefer to have everything pre-processing here. That is my flow of thoughts, okay? And then in here you just apply whatever you prefer. Something that we need to talk about when we are talking about the vignette is that the vignette right now you have a radial translation from the center to the edge to here, and it's happening in a linear fashion. Well, that is not accurate when you are replicating the vignette of a portion of a sphere. So you need to give more emphasis depending on how big is going to be the lens, and even to have like a complete ridiculous example of having the vignette so strong that it's just going to black out the area that is outside. And I'm just going to show you something because I think it's just cool. For instance, for this shot that everybody that has studied any of my tutorials know very well, this one. Can you see here the vignette? Is really, really strong. So it just blacks out. Here you are. Okay? So that can happen, especially because, for instance, in 40 years in that show, they were shooting in a 16 millimeters camera with a 35 millimeters lenses. So it was certain lenses that were very wide were just going like really, really wide in there. So especially zooms and elements, well, things, technical things that are not going to enter here. Again, this is not a tutorial. So what I want is just to create elements that are going to be capitalizing this vignetting more towards the end than towards the inside. So the first thing that I can say right now is like this gain is at 0, which means everything that is outside the vignette area is just going to black out. So it is okay, but we should just make sure we are just going to get the areas of interest. Something that I like to do this is like going to the radial, and in the softness we just go 0. So with this we are going to understand what is the center and where should I position that portion. In theory, you shouldn't see any black pixels. So you should go as far as you lose the last pixel. So that is going to give you like the last position, okay? Something that is going to happen though is that right now my lenses are center. And remember that I told you not all the lenses are, well, usually none of the lenses when you are shooting are going to return a good position in the center. So How can I calculate the center? Well, we already did. If you are not aware, it's in here. It's this thing. This lens distortion is giving me the off center. So this is the position out of the center. So I'm not going to mix it with this transform because I don't like it. In any case, I'm just going to put another one. So they are going to concatenate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these values. I can even link it. So this in here. Okay? That is going to give me that off-center element of the lenses. Okay? And I'm linking a lens distortion and a transform. So expect that things are going to get interesting in terms of crashing. It can be like dangerous, but anyway, I don't mind. I'm going to leave this so you know what I'm relating to. So I'm going to reduce again the size, and you are going to notice that one of the corners is going to appear sooner than the other. For instance, here is you can feel more the black area in there, practically the same, but it's because the center is quite close. But depending on depending on the lenses you are using and also the format, the original format that you are using, but you can have like a pretty off center. Okay, this is just for you to know, and it's nice. It's another touch of imperfection. Remember, the computer is so perfect doing things that it's just missing the chaos, the entropy of nature. So we are just replicating entropy in here. We are just doing things that are just so chaotic that it's impossible to replicate mathematically. We need the chaos of human beings, which is really, really cool. So I'm just going to make sure the corners, as I said before, are not going to get covered. Something like that. Being sure the other corners are going to be clear. They are. Yeah, I'm just noticing that there is a bit of extension in here, so we need to expand a bit more because of the distortion of the other. So I'm just going to expand this. Yeah, something like that. Good. Okay, so now, again, I'm going to apply the distortion. This is invert. And what's going on? Okay, good. So now, right now, everything is white. So when it's inverted, it's black. So there is nothing that is modifying this color correct. But as soon as I move this opacity down, this softness, sorry, the softness. When I'm moving the softness, if I put softness to 1, what is going to happen is the radiality is just going to, value 1 is going to be the center of this radial, and the edges are just going to be black in a linear fashion. So something that I like to do for this kind of distortion is this, is apply a grade. I'm just going to apply the grade on RGBA just in order to see everything on all channels, but you don't need all channels, you just need the alpha. And with this, I'm just going to modify how I'm going to distribute that. Usually, you are going with numbers higher than 1, okay? So the gamma is going to give this area. Of course, you can now play and reduce the size, so you can have like dark corners. You can play with this. So we are going there, but this is like the minimum kit that we are going to do for spherical lenses. Then I'm going to give you another piece of advice in case you are more familiar with photography terms and lenses. You know that there are certain lenses that are aspherical. The difference, I really enjoy explaining things. So I'm sorry if you already knew what are aspherical lenses. But Let me just go with this. Um, a spherical lens is a portion of a sphere. Okay, so it's this chunk. So that is a spherical lens, which is the main element that is in the front of the lenses. Okay, so the rays of light are doing like that. In order to prevent the distortion of the edges of the image, certain manufacturers and certain set of lenses are aspherical. It means that the center of the lenses is not just there. This is like the radial center, okay? So the center in here is going to be around there, okay? So there are lenses that are this way. Oh, let me do it again. I'm going to do it again. Thank you very much. I'm going to be here for a long time just drawing aspherical lenses. No, no worries. It's like this. Yeah, something like that. Okay. So the aspherical lenses are, they have like two centers. Okay, if we cut them from the section, the lateral section. So you have a center that is the out center and the in center. So this is the radial of this curve, and then there is the radial of this other curve. So those are aspherical lenses, and they are done in order to ease the area of the edges where the rays of lights are just coming in here. So light is just spending more time through the media, so it's getting absorbed, blah, 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 blah. That is why we have aberrations. That is why we have vignetting, astigmatism, and many other phenomena of the lenses. But what is important is to understand that if the lens are spherical, the cadency, the fall off that we are going to have in this mask for creating the vignette is going to be from the center off, and it's just one way. But if we have aspherical lenses, the way of recreating the vignette can be done approximately. Of course, you can do it with the curves. Let me show you with the curves. So it's going to be graphically easier. So it's color lookup. So that just for showing you, this is the master. So see, this is the gamma, more or less. Okay, it's not exactly the gamma. You can even go with this if you prefer. Okay, this is a way of creating. So the aspherical model is this. So you go both ways. So I'm just going to flatten everything here, so it's horizontal in one way and horizontal in the other. And you can just go this way, or you can just emphasize that this other way, so it depends, okay? In any case, aspherical lenses are never going to get like this black, so you should just understand that is the way the values are easy enough. So the other way that I would prefer doing this, because the curves are really cool because you have plenty of control, but sometimes you just want sliders. I love sliders. They're so easier. And in here you have to click and move things and all. So I prefer to use the roll of contrast. Because with the roll of contrast, you can even soften the clip to the maximum, and then you decide the distribution. So that is going to naturally create the S line that I was doing with the color lookup. If you want to see that effect, because I think it's quite cool, I'm going to, let me see, color transform analysis, this one. Oh, that is missing this one. So the roll of contrast, is missing the text. Okay. Let's see the text. Let me just locate that in a sec. Dot nuke. Dot nuke. Interesting. Well, it's in here. Okay. So the role of contrast, if I play with this, I can increase, and you decide where is the center. So with this, it's just going to be like a gamma operation, more or less. It's a contrast operation, but anyway, it's just a curve, a power. Here is the same, it's a power function, but in here you are defining where is the center. So you have one center of the curve and the other center of the curve, and you are distributing those centers the way you prefer or the way that is going to look better. So that's why I find myself quite comfortable just doing this way. And then you can combine both. You can apply a role of contrast and then apply the gamma, so you can play and complicate your life as much as you want. The important is that you know what you are doing. As far as that is happening, I'm happy. Okay, so I'm just going to use, for the sake of being, clear, I'm going to do we don't need the aspherical, so I'm just going to use this. Okay, so that is the point. So with this, I just created a tool for doing vignetting automatically. So is this vignette realistic? Well, get references. I don't think a vignette is going to be that strong, okay? So just get references, grids, or flat fills. Flat fill is when you shoot like a white screen that is evenly light in camera. So that is more interesting. But when we are talking about vignetting, it's not just light getting less light. Let's go heavy, okay, this time, as I said before. Then we can modulate. But something that is going to happen is when you have less light, you are going to have, of course, less contrast. So in order to make it more believable, you're going to reduce also the contrast. And that, look, yeah, that is going to lose also a bit of saturation. See? I'm just doing this super exaggerated for you to know, but it's completely normal that you have in an area of vignette a certain degree of loss of contrast and loss of saturation. Remember that contrast and saturation are always working hand by hand. So that is completely normal, okay? This is it. It's a lot. It's seriously a lot. But anyway, let's leave it. And then the last element that I'm going to play with the artifacts, just because I don't want to go so crazy with this, is just the aberration. So for the aberration this time, I'm going to use, there are plenty of tools out there. This is from Nukepedia. In here, it's quite by Jason Bidwell. Okay, so thank you, Jason, for your contribution to the community. It's a very cool tool, okay? So you have plenty of options. See? You can even open it. That is something that I love about Nukepedia. You can just go inside and see how people was designing the tools, okay? So it's like optical blur, motion blur. It's some sort of vectors and thing. It's super cool. So you can use that, or if you just want a tiny misalignment, because at the end of the day, yeah, you should do something like that. I'm going to propose a very quick and easy way of getting some sort of distortion, which is the aberration by using God rays, simply. For that, God rays, here you are. And I'm just going to use two different God rays, one for red and one for blue. I'm never going to apply in the green, because by applying in the green, you are just losing a bit of the perception of crispiness. So one for red, one for blue. Nothing against the tools that are on Nukepedia or any plugins, just to be clear, but if if you don't have them or you are in a rush or whatever, yeah, you are going to find that you can replicate most of those. Then there are many other elements that you can replicate. It's just because in here I'm just trying to use just vanilla nodes, okay, without going too complicated. But maybe, maybe in one of the streamings we can just go higher on the strokes. So let's see the lens distortion here. I mean, sorry, the aberration. So this is going on the blue, and this is going on the red. So let's see the red. Yeah. See? I just want that. That is already a lot. Don't do this to tell me that, yeah, I have a lenses. No, don't do that. Try to be subtle. You just want the edges to be a bit colorful because of the distortion. Because that, again, lens manufacturers are trying their best in order not to have distortions and artifacts. So don't ruin the image just to make the statement that you use lenses and you know that there are lenses involved in there. Okay, so this is a set. And then in here we are going to have the other set that is not very visible because let's have a look at the blue channel. Yeah, the blue channel is quite black because everything is orangey and stuff. So yeah, it's expected. So maybe in here we are going to notice a bit. Let's have a look at the full color. Yeah. Something like that. Just going to give me a bit of halo. And this, trust me, is a lot. It's really, really a lot. There are techniques to recover and to copy and to replicate the amount of aberration in there. As I said, I have in the Master of Light, you have plenty of techniques for those. But right now, everything is like arbitrary. I'm just trying to put in there things that I know. And I'm going to apply a crop, which is always useful at the end because I don't want to over process things that I don't need. So just by applying this set of softening, I already talked about the soft point in a previous episode. So the softening and then, all the artifacts for the lenses. So let's have a look at the difference. Yeah, it's quite a statement. I still believe this is a lot, but anyway, let's leave it for the time being. The only piece that is missing in here is like the lord of the artifacts, the grain. And for the grain, if you are working in a regular integration, you have amazing tools like, for instance, the dust grain that everybody knows is this is like really is like the most important tool for doing every kind of information of noise. So it's by Fabian Holtz, and it's really, really cool. He has even tutorials. Very, very nice, very, very nice guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate that. So I'm going to apply, if you have grain plates, something that I do for every show that I'm supervising, is a good idea always to have a grain plane. Because you can replicate grain for this kind of shots, which is full CG shots, and it's going to be like really accurate. If not, you can use the stocks, but the stocks are, look. Things to know about the grain. Grain doesn't behave the same in the bright areas and the dark areas. That is something that you know. So how can we apply that? So, well, let's start by finding what is the right stock. So I'm going with one of the classics, which is the Kodak 500 T for, well, T is for tungsten. Now let's go with the Fuji, but 2K. Yeah, yeah, it's really, really strong. Ah, and right now it's looking very bad because everything looks more or less the same. So um, you can change the way that the color space of this grain is being applied. So the color space right now is saying that it's linear. So I don't want a linear color space. I prefer to go logarithmic. But look, it's just behaving in a very weird way. Why? It's because this is just an estimation, so you can apply more in there and less in here, and you can play as much as you want. It's going to be hard anyway. But the as a rule of thumb, I will say like the bright areas shouldn't have much grain. You can even avoid it and play a bit like that. Um, and then you can even apply like the usual, masks for doing the brightness and apply more in the areas of darkness and that. But you know, you can use that. The first thing is like this is just going to give you a good logarithmic imprinting of how it's going to distribute the grain. So now if I apply here more, the thing is like, as you can see, it's apply grain everywhere. So it's not just relative to a certain area, it's just capitalizing one area more than others. Okay, so I'm going to put this, and you're going to need to play a bit with that. But go ahead, and you can play even strong with the grain. Maybe we are going a bit over the top, maybe not. That is the thing, because I don't have any point of reference to understand what's going on in the in terms of the sequence, because maybe this shot as a standalone is amazing, but then you look at the shot together with the other shots, maybe it's not working. So that is the thing. It's like it needs to make sense with the rest of the film or the rest of the project. So have a look at what's coming before and what's coming after. So if you can import it into Nuke and you can grab pieces of information like how soft is the lenses when it's in full focus, the amount of grain, what kind of grain, if you can recover the grain from one and apply to the other, all these kind of operations, try to base your work on real case scenario instead of just going by memory. It's like imagine a painter trying to paint the face of someone just by memory. It's much easier if you have a photography and you are mimicking, or if you have the person itself. So that's why they have models when they are painting. So it's the same. Our models are the references. So that is going to be a good reference to have other parts of the sequence. Okay. So I think I'm going to leave this grain. I think it's going to be good enough. And now maybe it's going to be a good idea to put a white note and to have a look what's going on. So I'm going to create my first render after 9 episodes. So I'm going to my no, not my Dropbox. I'm going to my desktop. I'm going to create a folder in my desktop. Yeah. Test. So I'm going to call this test. Maybe I can call it like the final, but anyway, I don't never like to call something final. It's a personal thing. You never put the word final in a render. That is the best way of doing the render many times. So I'm just going to put like node by node shot one. Intense. Comp V1 EXR, and let's make it ACES compliant. So it shouldn't have any compression at the time of this video being recorded. ACES cannot have compression for ACES compliant. I don't know how far in the future you are watching this video. So if you are, just check in ASIS Central what are the characteristics. But usually by that time, maybe you just need to click in here and that is going to give you all. So no compression, 16 bits, half float. The metadata, I'm going to leave it as it is. I don't mind. The color space must be, for being an ASIS compliant, ASIS 2065 #1. Those are like the must EXR, ASIS compliant EXR, so that is going to write the metadata. 16-bit half compression, none. The color space is going to be ASIS 2065 #1, and that is a ASIS compliant EXR. So now let's do a render. I know it's going to take a while, but yeah, maybe it's going to be. I told you, I'm not pre-baking anything. I'm not editing this video whatsoever because I want you to feel the experience. I mean, this is a recording, so you can even skip this part and just going forward. I'm not going to skip it, so you can see the timer on the top right of my screen, and when I'm shooting this, which is on Thursday, and right now is 15 past 5 almost in the afternoon in London. So yeah, well, what can I say? Well, I can say that you can subscribe again. So what about the giveaway? You still have time, okay? Remember, this is the URL for the giveaway. You can get a Nuke license, and this is going to be the second last for the licenses, because next week is going to be the last one. And yeah, let's keep talking about that. Oh yeah, subscribe, why not? So in the meantime that this is rendering, maybe I'm not going to render everything. I'm just going to render a few frames so we can see the progress of this. But I just like to ask you, how is it going? How do you like it? Is there anything? So far I'm just getting very, very nice comments, but if there is something that you think I can improve, for instance, the resolution of my screen, that this week I forgot again to do something, and yeah, I have a big monitor, so I can afford to have a small, a big resolution with small things, more small letters. So yeah, I know some of you have been telling me, please reduce your resolution, and I did it last week, but I forgot about this week. Sorry about that, my bad. But if you have any other comments or suggestions, just put it here in the comments, and I promise I read every comment, and I really appreciate the time you spend, even if you don't like it or whatever. I really appreciate the time that you are taking just to let me know what you think. What else? I think I'm going to start doing other shots, because for this, I think I'm not going to spend much more time doing it. If you want me to do, to complete the shot, it's just going to be the technical part that I can do. Is fine, but it's going to be more silent, just me working, and it's going. I don't know if you like it, I can do it, but if not, let's just go to another shot. I was planning to do something maybe with Kin tools, a tool that I really love, and just to have fun with that one. But if you have renders or you have shots that you can share with me, just you have my email in the comments, or just let me in the comments, sorry, in the description. Just send me an email and say, hey, I have this that I can share with you, so I can have a look, and maybe it works, just to work on there. So don't be shy, share with me whatever you like. I can tell you that we have surprises for the coming weeks. I cannot tell you anything right now, but we're going to have a contest in here, and maybe I'm going to have, well, maybe no, I'm planning, I just need to understand how, but I want to do once in a while open sessions, so sessions that you can participate. So we are going to have like a streaming, something like Zoom. So I'm going to record the Zoom, and we are going live on YouTube. But I would like to have you featured so you can ask questions, or we can just interact, or having fun, really. So yeah, that is something I'm planning, and we are going to have a contest that I'm going to let you know more in a couple of weeks. But yeah, many things are happening, and in the meantime, yeah, I keep working. I remember I'm a visual effects supervisor. I'm very active. So yeah, it's sometimes like this week it has been difficult to find, but I don't want to miss the appointment with you. I really enjoy this community that we are creating, and yeah, I'm just having fun. So what else? That's all about life. So let me get back to the screen. So this is my shot right now at this very point after 9 sessions. So it's like the equivalent of an hour and a half. So it's going to be roughly 14 hours or less than that, 13 hours or so, really, because I talk a lot. So yeah, it's actually, this is the result that we got with roughly a day and a half of real work, because counting that every day is 8 hours. So yeah, it's roughly a day and a half of work, worth of work with this shot. And look, it's not looking that bad. It's actually quite fun. You have a few elements, of course. There is so much that I have to do for correcting this and playing, but yeah, I think let's have a look what we have in here. Let me see. Oh, remember, it's an ISIS compliant. This is the right one. Here you go. Yeah, the balance of that smoke right now is quite off. I don't have much renders, but I can feel a bit. This is a day and a half. Imagine what we can do with this in 2 weeks, 2 full weeks of work. Something like 80 hours of work applied in here instead of 12. Because this is, to be honest, this is just the layout and, placing things just to look right. But then, I mean, to do this stage of the work is taking usually 10% of the time. Refining the work is what is taking 90% of the time. And you feel like everything takes a shape in just 10% of the time. And then you have the moment of desperation that for 90% of the time, the rest of the time, is everything goes so slow, and you feel like, oh my God, this is never going to end. Well, eventually it will, as soon as the money ends. So yeah, that is when you have to abandon. Just keep in mind, shots are never finished. They are just abandoned. When? When the time is right. And when is the right time for abandoning the shots? Usually when they finish the money, or when the schedule is set up. So when the deadline arrives, it's time to let it go. Just try to do your best in the time you are given. And that's it. That's the game about. It's not about the excellence of, because everybody can do amazing things if you have infinite time. But no, it's how cool can you reach the shot to be in the given amount of time. So that's why sometimes it's really cool to work on those shows that can afford you to work on a shot 4 weeks. That would be really, really cool. But then you pay with blood those 4 weeks, because maybe the first week is going to be super fun. The following 3 weeks is going to be a lot of fine work in order to make every single thing to work. In here, I just took the fine part. And again, if you want me in the comments, if you want me to have like the streaming of the 90% of the time, just fixing details and going, of course I can get this shot, finally get to production level, but maybe it's not that interesting. Or maybe if you want, I can go back to the shot once we, I don't know, when we find that is the right time. But I believe, for me, I think this shot is getting to an end. What do you think, guys? Do you want me to continue, or do you want me to pass to another shot? Just post it in the comments. I think this is going to be all for this week. That even if it was recorded, I am still very, very happy that I didn't miss this opportunity, and I hope you enjoy. Yeah, maybe the last thing that I can do is just to put this into a structure so it can be work as a you know, as a vignette element. So I'm just going to put this the effects of the vignette. I'm going to put this in matte. I'm going to call it vignette. Okay. And I'm going to save this structure as a tool set. So every time that I want, I'm going to use this thing. I'm going to remove for the tool set, by the way, I'm going to remove this. That is just the one for removing the center, okay? So I don't need that, because I will need also the lens distortion. It's just going to make a complication that is not necessary right now. So I'm going to create, and I'm going to call this vignette setup. So vignette. Now with this, I have my tooling here that I can recall every time that I want. That is called vignette. There you go. Easy. And that is going to calculate, as I said, always the center and everything. So it's very cool. You work once and you use it forever. So that is the deal. So that's why I wanted to have fun doing this too. What do you think about that? I hope you like it. So 3 minutes left. I think that's going to be all for this week. So next week is going to be as usual on the regular streaming service, and I'm just going to leave again once more the giveaway. You still have a few minutes that you can enter and get your indie license if you are lucky. So yeah, again, thanks Foundry for supporting this streaming. And by the way, I'm going to do, as I promised, the masterclass about copycat. So yeah, I'm going because we reach after the challenge. So I am preparing, and maybe I have surprises on how I'm going to do it, but I cannot say anything right now. I'm going to be at FMX, by the way. So remember, if you're coming at FMX, just drop me a line, or let's meet for a beer, or buy me a coffee if you want, or a real coffee. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this recorded streaming. Thanks for your support, and I hope to see you next week live here in Note by Note. And this has been Victor Perez. Thank you very much. Bye.